Hey, everybody. Welcome to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast. I'm Pete, and this is Nikki. Hello, Nikki.
Hello, Pete. Hello, everyone.
And welcome to the ADHD podcast. We are thrilled that you have downloaded the show. If you're listening to this, you are listening to episode 163, and it was recorded back in June of 2014. So it's all about how we're making some changes. All the episodes leading up to episode 163 were all about organizing. And over the course of those first several years, how many years was it? Many years.
Yeah, since 2010.
Yeah, we talked a lot about organizing on this show. And right here, the show you're listening to right now, we pivoted. And now it's about ADHD. And as such, we started thinking it's probably confusing if you are new to the show. If you find us in iTunes, you're looking for an ADHD show, and you go start at episode 1, and we have amazing listeners who do that to listen to the show and get really accustomed to this organizing business, then to hear us pivot to ADHD. It can be a little bit jarring, so we wanted to kind of clear the history. And so we've done that. You're going to hear this episode talking all about why we're making this change to ADHD. This is now our official sort of first episode of ADHD. If you are interested in organizing and you'd like to hear some of the back catalog there, just head over to the website, takecontroladhd.com. You can find all the episodes from episode 1 and listen to all the organizing goodness. But for iTunes listeners, new subscribers, we encourage you just to start from here, episode 163. And you'll have a much more attentive focus to ADHD issues. How'd I do?
You did great. And we have a phone number.
We do. We now have a phone number. We didn't back then.
We do now.
But now you can call us and leave us a voicemail at 503-664-4ADD.
That's right.
And you can join us. You can add your voice to this call. So we'd appreciate if you do this. Of course, join the conversation on Twitter and Facebook. We'd love to hear from you. And I guess that's it. Now, on with the show. Welcome, everybody, to Taking Control, the podcast.
It's not the podcast.
I feel like I have to change a little bit of it because we haven't made the big announcement yet. Just as good, like the velvet curtain is in front of the big change. The change. We're going through the change.
I can't look at you while we're talking. I got to turn your video off.
What? You don't... You know, this is all the show. So what are we talking about today? This is an inspiration. I'm Pete Wright. That's Nikki Kinzer. Hi, Nikki.
Hello, Pete Wright. I know, right?
Right. So let's talk about this. Here's what we've got. We've got a change. There is change afoot, and it all comes from a listener.
Well, actually, it came before the
Well, it came a year ago.
Email.
Yeah,
it came a year ago, and then the timing of the email from this listener was really, truly unbelievable. I mean, it was kind of eerie almost, I think.
You feel like she's like in your house? She's writing from in the house.
That's right. It's like creepy. Like, oh, how did you know? I think she's psychic. That's what I think.
Quite possibly.
Little weird. All right.
So, let's talk about what did she write? Do you have it in front of you?
Let's see. I don't have it in front of me. I read it several times, so I
pretty much have it memorized.
I can probably tell you. No, she brings up such a great point, and I got to just say she's right on. She's 100% correct. First thing she said is she loves the podcast. She loves the earlier episodes when we're talking about organizing and time management. But one of the things that she had feedback on for us was that more and more of the shows were being centered around ADHD. And that was a little bit frustrating because she felt that with a name called Take Control Organizing, that the topics should be more broad and not just so centered on one focused group.
Right.
Is essentially what she said.
Right. Now, we have two options when you hear something like that, right? One of them is, you're so right. We need to go back to our editorial calendar and do more of a broad, more organizing. But that's not what we're doing.
No, and that was your first instinct, right? You read it one way and I read it the other way. No, it's not what we're doing. And because she is right. She is 100% right. The name is misleading because if you think about it, well, you may not know this, and so you may not think about this. But I started this company back in, well, you know this, Pete, but the listener might not. I started the company, Take Control Organizing, in 2008 as a professional organizing service company. And I worked as a professional organizer. And I really enjoyed it. I loved it. I got great experience. I met some fantastic people and really got to see some great transformations of different spaces. And what was it, in 2010, you and I decided to do a podcast.
Right.
And back then it started out as it actually started out as the home organizing podcast.
Yeah, it was the home organizing. And this was because you didn't like going into people's offices and arranging their file cabinets and stuff.
That I was a little nervous about that. I was definitely more comfortable with the home at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we started the podcast in 2010, but I was still, full time working as a professional organizer. So that was the point of view that you and I often, would talk about, right? Different tips and strategies and things like that. So I guess it was in about 2011, 2012 is when I started kind of changing my focus a little bit and going more into ADHD coaching. And there was a definite desire that I had to go to move that way. I had worked with a couple of clients who had hired me as a professional organizer, but those clients ended up being more like coaching clients than actual organizing clients. And I found that I loved that work. I loved being able to work with them on a weekly basis and talk about their goals and help them break down projects and seeing them accomplish these things and finishing these things. It was just really a lot of fun and very fulfilling for me. And that was when I went back to school to be a coach. And so that was really the time, right? Where I think you start seeing there's a difference in what we start talking about. Because I do think in the podcast, and I could not tell you what show it was, but I know we do talk about adding the ADHD coaching services to the website, correct? I mean, we do talk about that.
Right. There was a point where the business, it grew. It effectively grew. But at that point, you were still taking on organizing clients, and this was just broadening what you were doing because your interests were, you were still learning.
Right. And I am still learning. I'm still in school in an advanced coaching program this time, and it's specific to ADHD. But yes, it's something that I definitely I find education is a huge value, no matter what. But anyway, with that said, where am I going with this is that the focus did change. And she's right on when she says, I've noticed, and that's a very good observation, is that what I think both Pete and I found is that why I love doing this podcast so much, and Pete, you can tell me why you love doing it. But I think it's great to have you, who lives with ADHD, who has the experience of living with it and seeing the good and the bad and the ugly and everything that kind of comes with it. And then with my experience as a coach and knowing about ADHD on a different kind of level, that it's a great, marriage in podcasting. Right? I don't know but it just felt like it was so natural for us to talk about these things and to get your point of view, and then, to get my point of view. And it just felt really natural for me to talk about that stuff. Pete, what do you think?
Well, I think so. And I too, I share it. I have a deep personal interest in these topics and particularly around ADHD and not just ADHD. I feel like the interest is in the living systems required because of the way kind of the ADHD brain works. It's, not better, not worse, just different.
Right.
And we have to understand what's different about it in order to kind of be able to rationalize how we interact with the world. And that's something that's very personally important to me. But I think more important is just to recognize how things change. And when you do a podcast for 4 years, things change. The dynamic changes. The topics that we talk about changes. And because of your ongoing education and work, our editorial focus has changed. And so, let's not bury the lead. We're not stopping the podcast.
Right.
We're absolutely going to continue the podcast, but we want to do, and our commitment this, for the remainder of this year going forward, is to better manage expectations for people who listen to the podcast. If you've been listening regularly, you know that over the last year in particular, our trend has been has gone toward ADHD, the ADHD angle of organizing topics, and we're going to continue to do that. But we are changing some other things about our sort of media presence, and so the name of the podcast, we are evolving from Taking Control, the organizing podcast, to Taking Control, the ADHD podcast. Is that right? We settled on that, right?
That's right.
Please tell me we settled on that.
We did. And this took, just, I don't know if people care about this or not, but I mean, this took us a lot of time and we took a lot of thought into this. I mean, this was not a decision made lightly by any means.
Absolutely not, and we're changing where you can find us. For example, we managed to find Take Control ADHD everywhere. So Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, all the social platform, all of our social platforms, you can now find us at Take Control ADHD, which we'll get some getting used to, and I'm sure I will mess it up a bunch. But
Me too.
that's where you'll be able to find us. But if you follow us on all of these places, you shouldn't even notice the change. You shouldn't need to really make note of that. But if you're new to the show, that's where you can find us. You shouldn't notice anything change in the feed if you are a subscriber to the show. The thing you might notice is, oh my gosh, now they've really committed to ADHD, so I don't know if this is a thing that's good for me anymore, and that's okay. And we recognize that our further commitment to ADHD, it's not for everybody, and we've built up a wonderful and loyal and fantastically committed audience, and I hope that you have considered it, listener, useful in your life, and that you continue to listen, because frankly, a lot of these tips that we bring up pretty much work for everybody. So
that's right.
We just want to be real clear that this is who we are.
And that's it. I think, being very clear with the intention and, and like I said before, I mean, she was right on. I mean, she's correct that the actual company name, Take Control Organizing, is not the same. It's not the same business as it was when I, back in 2008. So like you said, I just want to be clear and it's exciting for me because this is my passion. I mean, this is for me, my dream career opportunity. And I don't even call it a job because it doesn't even feel like a job. I absolutely love working with my clients. I love working around ADHD. I love everything it brings to me, the chaos, the messiness, but then the creativity and the big dreamers. And I mean, I love it. And for me, I just really came to a point where I had to follow that passion and be very clear that that's where I needed to go with it. And so it's bittersweet because I know, Pete and we have been working together since 2008. I mean, he has been there since day one when I even thought about opening up a company, and he's seen it change over, the number of years that we've been doing it. And so it's hard. It's hard to let go of that name. It's hard to kind of let go of that identity. But I'm also really excited about the opportunity of really, I don't know what the right word is, but just really kind of embrace myself into this ADHD world, which is really where I want to be. And, so I'm really happy. I'm bittersweet. I'm happy though. I mean, it's one of those things. It's like you're closing a door, but then you're opening a new one.
Well, that is absolutely the idea. It's to embrace it. I think that's really a very powerful message. So.
Well, and what is the other kind of big change then is, like you said, the social outlets, or the name Take Control ADHD will be kind of how you can find us on Facebook and everything. The website will also be takecontroladhd.com. We're going to be changing the website, and it's going to look different, and it's going to look new, and it's going to have different information on it than what Take Control Organizing has right now. And what are we expecting? Maybe in summertime that's going to launch?
Yeah. We'll have some. It's the website has evolved a number of times since this was a home organizing gig, and we're looking forward to the next evolution that really focuses on Nikki Kinzer, the ADHD coach, and the resources and the tools and the things that we offer there will continue to evolve and again, just really, I think, increase and refine focus
All right.
into this new direction, or not new direction, this continued focus in this direction. So,
and organizing is still going to be a big, huge piece of that. I don't want people to think that that's not going to be the case. I mean, what I see, the only content really kind of changing is that it will be more specific to the ADHD mind. But there's going to be more topics that I would like to talk about. New research, more things about executive functioning, and I mean all of these different things that we've kind of touched a little bit upon in the past, but now we can really open it up more. And but organizing is a huge challenge for people, and that's definitely not going to go away. And the technology piece, I think, Pete, is really important. I think that people have really loved listening to you talk and giving them new ideas of how to work with these apps and making lives, your life easier with these living systems that you were talking about. And so, we're still going to continue that. And I'm so open to suggestions. And I know, Pete, you are too. I mean, if somebody, has concerns or questions, they can certainly contact us. But if you have an idea for the show, or you want to, hear us talk about something, please let us know.
Absolutely. So, I think that's it. I think this is a good. This is our launch of the summer navel gazing episode of the podcast, and we're very excited about being able to do this, and really very lucky that you all have continued to join us and stick with us, and we hope that what comes next is something that you will also enjoy. That's our effort. So I think that's it. And now here I go. I'm going to try to get it all right.
But before you do that,
what?
We do need to. We are going to be. What do you call it in podcast world?
Hiatus.
Yeah.
Yes.
For just a couple weeks, not for very long, but we need to just do a little bit of replanning.
Yes, we do. Because we're so organized, we had planned the whole year in advance. So we have a half a year to go back and replan. So that's what we will do. So we're
dark until... That's what organization gets you.
That's right. The curse of the organized. So yes, we're going to be dark. I think the first episode back is going to be the 23rd. Of June, so we'll be off for a couple of weeks, but don't unsubscribe because we're coming back. That's right. What we're saying. So have a good summer. Until then, you can find us at the website for now is still Take Control Organizing. That will always work. TakeControlOrganizing.com. New URL to be announced shortly. On Twitter, Take Control ADHD. On Facebook, Take Control ADHD. On Pinterest, Take Control ADHD. And you can find me at Pete Wright on Twitter, and I'd love to hear from you too. Thanks, everybody, for listening. On behalf of Nikki Kinzer, I'm Pete Wright. This has been Taking Control, the ADHD podcast.